Okay, audio is on, I think. I wonder what's going to happen after I decided not to do a show last week, if it's going to have an influence on the people who regularly watch my show. For the moment I'm alone, so yeah, we'll see. Anyway, if there are not any viewers, I'm going to explain anyway why I didn't do last week's show. And also going to show you what I did with the new triggers. So it should be interesting to see how many people are going to watch today. It's been a tough 14 days with Windows updates, problems and stuff like that, so it seems something we all live streamers struggle with. But hey, we'll see how it goes. Hey Martin, nice to see you. At least one viewer. Well, we're going live in 1 minute, so anyway, I'll try. What I'm going to do is explain why I didn't do the show last week. You know why. But I think it can be interesting for other streamers. And I'm also going to show you something I did last week with triggers, so it probably is going to be a very short show because I really hope that there were some people into the chat, because I wanted to ask some questions about the School of Live Streaming. But it's 8 o'clock and there is only Martin for the moment, so but let's start the show. This show is sponsored by Xkeys, the company that knows how to push a button. Hello everyone. Well, everyone is Martin. Only Martin for the moment, so thank you Martin for watching the show. I still have to tell you afterwards something. Yes, as you probably know, last week there wasn't a show. People who got my newsletter were more or less informed. And I just wanted to give you a small update why I didn't do the show, but also it's connected to not only to me but also to live streaming. As you probably know, I suffered from burnout and probably still are a little bit in the burnout. And one of the side effects for me at least is that I quickly lose confidence. So when there was a problem with the NDI desktop capture 2 weeks ago, I had kind of a blackout. Giles and Martin helped me through the rest of the show. But the hours afterwards and the days afterwards were really terrible, and I said, I want to learn people how to do live streaming, and it wasn't going as planned. And I watched all my previous episodes, and it struck me that it happened more or less twice, and it was twice when I was doing something rather advanced, if you can call it. And I had, hi Giles, nice to see you, greetings. And I was thinking, why didn't I start the School of Live Streaming, and what was the initial thought of doing this? And first I had my website, and I've done a lot of work to the website. And what I've noticed is that the website isn't really working. It seems it's not only for me. A lot of people are saying that it's, yeah, everything is on Facebook, YouTube, but it's very difficult to get some people to your website. The initial plan was to put some courses over there, where pre-recorded courses. But this is so time consuming. Jon Linde yesterday and Giles also talked about it. When you create, it's not just to record something. When you want to do it properly, you have to use a nonlinear editor and yeah, do all this stuff to have a very good end product. And I just don't have the time to do it. If you're working 8-9 hours already in IT, when you come at home, you still have to eat, do some domestic work. You don't have time, or yeah, don't want to do some nonlinear editing. And the first shows, hi Classic TV, nice to see you. So the first shows were really for beginners, and I got some nice feedback. Hey, this is nice. But then I had some shows where I thought it was for beginners, but it was too advanced, and the way I was doing the switching was not really okay. And I was very critical to myself, and I said, what's going wrong? And when you're doing a show on your own, it's really tough. And I want to be as honest as possible on this. I really underestimated. Hi Tommy, nice to see you. And well, Tommy just entered the room, and it was without, well, I don't think Tommy is going to mind that I'm telling you this. And Tommy told me, maybe you have to rethink the way you're doing your show. And I think that's exactly what I have to do. Because trying to explain some stuff live is one thing. But if it's getting too complex and you have to add other equipment, it's a tough job. And I don't always succeed in doing it. So, and it causes a lot of frustration, frustrations which I can't cope well for the moment. So that brought me thinking again, okay, back to basics, back to the school board. And what I'm probably going to do the next coming weeks is, from next week on, I think, I am probably going to start explaining the producer starter kit that Giles created. So really, but at a very slow pace, and explaining people how that's working. And I'm just going to focus on that. I'm probably going to change from day, because I'm now on Tuesday, and it's the day after WALS. And I've seen that from time to time, yeah, if we stay 2 or 3 hours in WALS, and then the day after I have to do my show, it's 2 days in a row. It's sometimes too much for me. So it's not 100% sure, but there's a possibility that I'm going to more than possible on to Friday, the same hour. And it's not sure that I'm going to do a weekly show. It can become a bi-weekly show, but it's all going to depend if there is any material or not, because, and you see it also in other shows, that people sometimes struggle to find a subject. If there's no news, there's no news. Around NAB or IBC, there's plenty of news. I thought that I could teach people during weeks and months vMix, but at a certain moment it stops. And when you don't have a subject, it's for me, it's very difficult to talk just like this. And the 3 episodes I liked most were the episodes where I had some guests. Like the first time I had Giles and Martin, I had Tommy, and the show with Dan Slider and the girl was, I really liked that so much. But of course you can't expect to find a guest every week. And that this is, this is something I want to share with you, that it's very, very hard to do a very well polished and produced show. You have your preparation, find your subject, try to explain it in a proper way. And it's very hard to find the balance. And again, I want to thank Tommy telling me that maybe go back to basics and try to rethink the way you're going to set up your show. And it's something I'm still struggling with it, but hopefully in the next coming weeks, hopefully there is a bulb here that suddenly lights up and say, already now you find it. So this is what's going to happen the next couple of weeks. Again, trying to explain very basic stuff and trying to explain the producer starter kit. I think I can fill up a few weeks with that. I'm probably going to do quarter of an hour, half an hour segments, and then just explain a few things I found. Okay, if you have any comments or suggestions about that, please don't hesitate. Another thing I want to talk about is the strength of walls again. Yesterday, my fellow countryman Irvin C. explained that at WALS that he found a bug in vMix, a bug related to the VST3 plugins. Now, most of us would never thought of trying to see where the problem exactly lay. So Irvin found and detected a memory leak in vMix, and he how strong also the vMix as a community is he sent it on a Sunday to Martin, saying, Martin, here I think I found a bug in vMix, but please, it's Sunday, take your time, it's not that urgent. But a few hours later, Martin told Irvin, yes, you're right, I'm going to fix it as soon as possible. And the next morning it was already solved. And you see how strong an end-user community can be, and certainly when the programmers are listening to it. So there are a lot of other companies, so if you fill in a bug report, they never respond. Here, Martin, it's now the second or the third time that I noticed that we found a bug, which is already something special in vMix, and a few moments later it's already solved. So big thumbs up for Irvin C, WALS, and vMix. Another thing for us live streamers is, of course, and it's the talk of the town for weeks now, is the Windows 18.03 update. And for those who didn't watch, hi Elmar, you're late. Well, you didn't miss a lot. Just explained, Elmar, why I haven't been doing a show last week and what the future of School of Live Streaming is maybe going to be. But if you're interested, I can talk about it later. So the 18.03 update caused a lot of headaches for everyone, and again, it was also Irvin that yesterday said some solutions are working for people, some solutions, and you have to look for it on your own, because for some people it's the latest audio driver that's not working anymore. It's the NVIDIA driver. It's another driver. It's really crazy. And I have two laptops. My big one, my 17-inch with a NVIDIA 1070 card, and then my smaller laptop with a 1050 Ti. And that laptop had some real issues from the beginning when I was working with vMix. And I said, it's only vMix that's installed. I cleaned more or less this laptop. And what I did find was, and I'm going to put the link in the description again, on this smaller laptop, I added an exclusion to Windows Defender antivirus. So you can add exclusions if you're using Windows Defender antivirus. You can add an exclusion on file-based or folder-based. And I added the complete vMix and vMix Social folders. From that moment on, my laptop is working a lot better. That solved my problem. Giles, it didn't work at Giles, so I see here that Martin is going to log in and see on Giles' machine what's the problem. But it seems on his desktop, Giles doesn't have problems. I honestly, on my big laptop and also my smaller laptop, I don't have any problems besides the desktop capture that's not working, as I showed you 2 weeks ago. So I have to use the desktop capture from vMix. The standalone is not working. But yeah, if you're a professional live streamer, I imagine it's causing a lot of problems. And I noticed that there were a lot of people saying, I'm not going to do the 18.03 update, and I'm just going to work like this. But you can imagine that, let's say in 6 months or so, that for what kind of reason Windows is really going to force whatever you did is going to force the update. So you're going to have 6 months updates, and it's so annoying. And yeah, there's not much we can do besides try to help each other. And if we find why something is not working, put it into the different groups we are and see if that helps. Yeah, Tommy is saying that he is an unprofessional live streamer, but Tommy has put a really nice movie together for an intro movie for Walls. So you're not that unprofessional, Tommy, but we appreciate your honesty. Okay, let me see what's there in the chat. Okido. Okay. As I told you, maybe before I just show you my only thing I want to show you, Giles told me that I think in a little bit more than half an hour there is some special show or so, at 9 o'clock. Giles, is that correct? And can you tell us briefly what it's going to be about and where it is? Hi, Mel. So, if I remember well, at 9 o'clock there was something special. It was said yesterday at Wall Show, but I completely forgot it. So if Giles would tell that in the chat, that would be great. So, okay, the only thing, okay, now Giles, I'm seeing here, that's in, it's in 2 hours, 9 p.m. UK, 10 p.m. EU, and where is it, Charles, the show? Okay, it's a penimation workshop with Mike Benke. Okay, and is it on Wall Show or is it somewhere else? Well, while I'll just waiting for this answer. Micro Homesteaders is here, and unfortunately, Merle, your show is during our sleep, but what Merle is doing is nothing more than amazing, because he started with some small tidbits about his garden and so, and now he's doing a live stream for more than 3 hours about homesteading, and there's a lot of interaction in that show, so it's great, really great seeing someone doing well, evolving from 10 minutes, 15 minutes to 3 hours, and apparently it seems very interesting for people who are in the homesteaders community, so great work, Mol. Okay, it's a whole show. Okay. So people in 1 hour and a half, a little bit more, on World of Live Streaming, stepbackintime.tv, you can follow a special show about the penimation workshop. But the thing I want to show you, and it's going to really briefly for today, is in one of the groups. I mean, I don't think if it was on Tom's group or Wolf's, someone was asking, can I do some switching with triggers and at the same time show the time like the people on vMix were doing a few months ago? And I say, yeah, that can probably be done, but how? And again, as usual in vMix, there are several possibilities, and maybe the thing I'm going to show you is not the best one, but it can give you some ideas what can be done with the new triggers. And so this guy just wanted to switch camera angles, but what I did was, that can be an interesting thing if you want to show a roster with basketball or soccer players or whatever, and every 10 seconds or so show something else. So let me show you, and I hope it's going to work. Let me show you how I build it up. I hope this is going to work. So what I did was I created a folder on my desktop, and I put all the media into one and same folder. As you can see, there is here a blank thing that's for the titles. I downloaded 4 basketball players for no particular reason. I just took the first one I found. This is the vMix project you're going to see. I created a lower, kind of an overlay, a lower third title, but I'm going to show you. But the basis to start with was an external Excel. So as you probably know, and let me see if I can do something. I think I have to do it. Yeah, okay. As you can see here, what I did was I created an Excel with the stuff that was needed into the title or overlay, as you can choose. So you see here I have name, I have the number, I have his position, and I have the picture. And I think name, number, position, it's straightforward. But in the picture you see here that you have to put the exact spot where the picture resides on your computer. In my case, it was on C users, my name, desktop, folder Golden State, and then the name of the players. This is very important, that you have the exact spot on your hard drive where it's residing. So after I created this Excel, it doesn't have to be Excel, but it was the most, it was the easiest way for me to use a database. What I then did was I created a title, and you're not seeing it very well, but you have here kind of the roster. Here is the name, his position, and his number. So you can. It was just a quick thing I done in Photoshop, just to give you an example. And as I showed you in a previous episode, then you can link this title to name, this title to position, and this title, this text field to the number. So these are the basics. External database, you create your title, and what I then, let me then show you, this is, and let me put away my picture in picture. So this is a project. You see here, roster XML is the overlay I created. And then what I created was, I created 4 timers, because I have 4 players. And so after each player, I want to trigger something. The multi-view is a combination of my overlay and the timer. So let me first show you, it's going to take 40 seconds, what's going to happen. So you see now that the first playering is showing, and you see here on the top right, there is a 10-second timer. Now you see that the player is changing, a new picture, new number, and so all these things come from the Excel sheet. And after each player, there is another timer starting from 10 seconds, counting down. And after we reached now the 4th player, you're going to see that after 10 seconds, he's going to show you something else. So let me maybe show you how I did, what I did with the timers. And I'm going to put this overlay off. So what you see here is, if I click here, this is the first timer. So I just created the standard timer that you see on the red one. And you see here, this is the new trigger that's been added in vMix 21. It's OnCountdownCompleted. So what is going to happen? So on countdown completed, that means after 10 seconds. Data source, next row, so it's going to see in Excel, it's going to take the next row, and you see here, and this is something you have to play with, the exact correct thing to put in value. I struggled a little bit with it, but it's for Excel, it's Excel /CSV, comma, and then sheet 1 if you have if everything is on your first sheet. It's blot 1 because that's Dutch for sheet. So again, when the timer reached 0, it's going to the next row. What it's then going to do is overlay input 1. This is the next timer, and is going to do a start of the next timer. If we're going now to the second one, the second timer, you're going to see that it's exactly the same, except for the input, it's going to overlay the next timer, but it's always 10 seconds, but you can change 10 seconds. One timer 10 seconds, the other one 15 maybe. It's showing you the next timer, and it's going to do the start on, countdown again. This stays the same. And this is here what the most important thing is just data source next row. So you start, let me put myself again. So what you're doing is you start from timer 1, it's going to show you row 1. After 10 seconds, with the trigger, it's going on countdown completed, data source next row, so it's going in Excel to the row number 2. It's going to show you all the things that are in Excel and that you put into the title. After 10 seconds, it's going to row number 3, and so on, until he reached, and this is what you're going to see here when I show you the very last timer. Here you see that overlay, what it's going to do is data source select row is going again. What I did here is telling go again to row number 1 and put the overlay off. So I'm ready. If I want to restart everything all over again, the only thing I have to do is put my my multi-view here, is to start this one, multi-view all over again, and you see that everything is starting from the first row again. So this is something with the trigger you can do a lot of stuff with the OnCountdownCompleted. So and yesterday Dave was telling that there's someone who is doing the programmatory thing again in the vMix. I forgot the name. But with the OnCountdownCompleted, you can program a lot of different things. You can say, okay, you create all your timers. Let's say you have 10 things you want to show. You create your timers. I only use 10 seconds, but you can use half an hour, an hour. Okay, show this for half an hour, for instance. When on the countdown completed, when this is finished, go to the next thing that I want to show you, because I used now Excel, but you can just use a regular input. So you can see, for instance, okay, start with a movie, that's 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, do this. And you don't have to show the timers. I showed here the timers on the top right hand because the guy asked for it. But you can just create the timers and don't show them on screen. And just use them as triggers. So you start from the first thing you want to show. When it reached 0, the timer reached 0, you're automatically going to do a fade or whatever to the next thing you want to show, and so on. So you can really automate a show. And that was something I found, and I'm still playing with the OnCountdownCompleted and a lot of, and data sources, because I told you before I really like playing with the data sources, because I think I can automate a lot things with data sources and the OnCountdownCompleted. The only thing I'm missing for the moment is with the data source. It would be nice, and I'm going to ask for a feature request when that kind of a trigger exists that say on last row, that you can say, okay, do a repeat or whatever. It doesn't exist for the moment, so you have to play a little bit here with the OnCountdownCompleted. But it would be nice that there is a function that exists, and that's called the data source last row, for instance. So I hope this very short presentation did make sense. And let me quickly have a look. I'm going to, because I didn't pay attention to the chat. So it's, and let me, I haven't put vMix Social live, so let me just read a few interesting comments. What Giles is telling is that either prepare or don't, but don't go anywhere in between. And I think, Giles, that you're spot on. It was exactly my problem. I was doing a show, or I was doing a well-prepared show, and normally I didn't have any problems. But when I was doing a show, and I said, yeah, okay, let me quickly talk about my data sources, and that didn't work well. And I think you're right. Or you just talk about stuff and explain a few things. But if you want to really explain something from top to bottom, you really have to prepare the stuff. And it's a very good remark, and it's a lesson for me. It's one or the other, and mix between the two isn't working for me either. So thanks for that comment. Elmar is saying, thank God I don't do anything with sports, so no problems with replay, scoreboards, etc. Well, Elmar, I've doing sports for years, and I can tell you that it's probably one of the hardest things. Like the instant replays, I haven't touched that, because I hope that Jens is going to explain it in one of next coming weeks, because he knows everything about instant replay. But these things, like because a lot of vMix users, if you want to read the manual, the online manual, there's so much information in it, and only about data sources. I think I can talk for weeks about data sources, Excel, JSON, whatever. But I think I can Excel. You can explain everyone this thing. I can explain everyone how to create a few lines in Excel with all the information, how it has to be structured, because that's one of my small critics on vMix, that the trigger stuff and so it can use some extra information, some stuff I have to figure out myself, like, because why do I have to put Excel /CSV and not a name from the cell? So what I'm going to do is, the moment I say, okay, this is it, I think this is stuff people have to know, that I'm going to write a very small manual. I'm going to put it in walls. I'm going to send it to Martin if they want to use it to add to their documentation, why not? Because I really think that it can help people, and to avoid typing all your titles. If you have all the information beforehand, it really can improve your workflow, and you can focus on things you're maybe not that comfortable in. Let's see, Elmar is saying, I stay with boring conferences. Yeah. Well, Elmar, but you probably know that also at conferences, some people think they know it better than you, and they try to fiddle with cables and the audio, and before you know it, everything is gone. I told it in the beginning of the show, my respect for live streaming on whatever level, or is it sports, or no matter what kind of live streaming, but I have to say that my respect has grown immensely the last couple of months, because I never thought it was that difficult. So many things can go wrong, and it's the advantage we have at WOLS that we are a group, and we can talk. If one of us doesn't feel well, or he has a small technical problem, we are with X number of people that take over, and I always have to laugh when Giles is afraid, oh, I don't have a subject, and 1 hour later he has to say, okay, we have to call it a day for two. Everyone has something to tell about, and this is the strength of a group and the weakness of someone that's doing a live stream on his own. Tommy is saying, what we is showing is that vMix gives a one-way show the power of a large professional production set up with many people. Preparation is all. And I hope, Tommy, and I think it was in the first episode that we spoke about creating kind of a check sheet, what you have to do before every show, and I already have a few points, and maybe I'm going to take my time to create such a document with all the information and all the stuff I've done wrong so far, and share that with you, because sometimes it's amazing, but oh, this went wrong, oh, I have to remember that, like what I told you 2 weeks ago about my wrong my microphone. I'm still using now my radio microphone. I'm not wearing my headset, so my radio mic is now about 10-15 centimeters from me, and my hands are free. I've nothing on my head, but by coincidence I discovered that this seemed to be work very well. And if you know the basics of vMix very well, the stuff we did, let's say in the 5-6 first shows, and you can then start with shortcuts and triggers. And I hope when I start showing you this thing with the APC Mini, if you're comfortable, and this is again something so difficult. I gave myself a task, and I said, okay, I have this is, by the way, this is labeled for the producer starter kit, but let's say you have, the only thing you have is an X-Key 24. And I'm asking all the guys now into the chat, you have 24 keys. What are you going to program under these 24 keys? And I think when you guys are sending me what you're going to put under these 24 keys, there's going to be a huge difference what we're going to put under the 24 keys. Is it important? No. What's important is that you know what you're doing. If it's improving your workflow, and gives you that extra breathing room to do your production, it's perfect. But it's very difficult when you have, I think 24 keys is a lot, and at the same time, at the moment you say, oh, it's not enough. I need the bigger X keys or the APC Mini, because you think, yeah, maybe I can put every camera in preview and in output. If you only have 24 keys, probably you're not going to put every camera in preview. And you're going to say, okay, what are the keys that I need it most? Am I going to put record on a key? Stream? Overlays? So it's a very interesting thought, but at the same time, again, it's causing you a lot of stress. What am I going to put under these 24 keys? And I changed so many times, but this is a funny thing to do. But I think Tommy, what you said is right. When you know vMix and all the possibilities, even if you know half of it, and then I really think that you need a small MIDI device, whatever brand. You can start, as I showed you, with the keyboard, but when you have something like this, and you can say, okay, the moment I put this input live, it has to trigger my recording and or my live streaming after my sponsor. After my sponsor movie has finished, go to my main camera, put my title for 10 seconds, fade it away, that's it. And then you have a few buttons where you can switch maybe an overhead camera, the picture-in-picture I'm doing. That can help you. Well, Giles is telling me I really do approve of the Wolf's beard. I haven't seen John. That's John's fault, our Scottish friend, because John told me, maybe because I was more or less the only one without a beard at Wolf's, try to let it grow until Streamfest Live. Now, I'm not going to say it's the first time I have a beard like this. I'm going to let it grow until Streamfest Live, but we'll see how this is going. And maybe this, it makes me a little bit more mature, apparently. But well, no, it's something to try. And if I go to Giles' place for Streamfest Live, I promise you that I have a beard and that I'm going to have an overall. That's a promise. You're going to see 3 minions probably. Let me have a look at the chat. Tommy is saying you can approach that with a church service, Giles, preacher, choir, people in the sanctuary, special music, piano. Yeah, to be able to. Well, Tommy, you're giving a perfect example. And you're saying preacher. Let's say that you have one mic for everyone. Preacher, choir. This is difficult for me to pronounce. Choir, is that correct? People in the sanctuary, special music, piano, organ, and baptism. That's 7 sources. So you can program 7 audio inputs on your X keys. So these are already 7 knobs. But I'm never going to have here for my production. I'm never going to have 7 audio inputs. I only have 1 for my microphone, and if I bring in a guest via vMix call, 1 or 2 extra. So I only have 3 audio inputs and maybe a movie. But you see, it's a very interesting discussion. It's a Streamfest beard. Yes, it's a Streamfest beard, more or less. Martin is saying that I'm look like Irving's brother. Yes, Martin. The next one is I'm going to let grow dreadlocks. That's going to take some longer time, but then I have a combination of Martin and Giles. Okay, I had for 15 minutes again. I hope, guys, you didn't mind talking me about why I didn't do the stream about last week. I'm going to do my utmost best to continue the next coming weeks. Oh, sorry, that was not what I was planning to do. So the next coming weeks, I'll probably going to stay on Tuesday till maybe the summer. Then I'm probably going to take a little break. I'm going to have 1 week holiday for Streamfest Live. That's at the beginning of August. And there is something special coming up for September, but it's not 100% sure. So let's keep something for the next coming shows, so I don't give everything away today. Thanks everyone for this staying in this show. It was a rather special one, just talking a little bit about my problems with live streaming and a little bit about data sources. But I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for all the comments. I stay a little bit, let's say 5 minutes or 10 minutes for a post show if you have any questions or suggestions. And don't forget, in a little bit more than 1 hour at stepbackintime.tv, the YouTube channel, or you go to the website, you can follow a special show, which you're all more than welcome to follow and to come. I think I just saw something that Charles put. If you're interested, you can come in via Zoom and have part of the discussion. Thanks again, guys. Don't forget to watch all the other people's shows here who are in the chat, and see you next week. Okay, well, we're official in the post show. Thank you, guys. Yeah, for me it's important. Everyone has to cope with it the way he has. I think how he feels, that's most appropriate. I want to be as honest as possible about, well, certain things without going too much into the private stuff. But yeah, it's I understand better now why some of the seasoned streamers had to take some time off from after a few years. I'm only streaming for 3 months, and yeah, sometimes I think what's the hardest thing for me is sometimes you come at home. Like today, I had to do to stay late at work, and I had only 1 hour before my show, and then it's sometimes you say, I don't want to do a show today, and that's what happened last week. But today I said, no, 1 week is already dangerous not doing a show, and today I really wanted to explain why all this thing was happening. But it's, yeah, it's considered not done in the live streaming world to say we're not doing a show, and I can only speak for myself, and I prefer to tell you on Sunday evening, I'm sending out a newsletter. I didn't do it this Sunday because there was no news. So, and I'm in the newsletter, I'm telling the people what I'm going to do next week, what I did previously, and a few issues I discovered. And I prefer to tell you in advance or on my website, listen, I don't feel well, or I'm not going to give you an excuse. I don't want to do a live stream today. That I think it's better to tell you that in all honesty than doing a show and that I'm here. That you see on my face, this guy, it doesn't enjoy the live stream today. So I think then for me that it's better to not do a live stream. And I know that everyone's time is precious, and that you guys can do something else or watch another show. And when you know, okay, the week after, we know that Rudy is going to do his utmost best to produce again another show. So probably this is going to be something that's going to happen a few times in the future, that there is a notice that says there's not going to be a live stream for whatever reason. But I'm always going to tell you afterwards why. And I know there are a few people into the chat who are telling, Rudy, you don't have to tell us that. But it's my way of, you guys are coming almost every week to my live stream, and I think it's not more than appropriate telling you, okay, I'm not doing a live stream because I have too much work, of it's not going to well at the moment. So we can stay the best friends, and you guys can watch a live stream produced by someone who is doing his best and not doing a live stream because he suppose has to do. Okay. Yes, I see here that's I'm not the only one and I see that Giles has put it into the chat 2 weeks ago. Giles wasn't feeling well, but you have your audience, and almost everyone here in the chat. A lot of people are doing some kind of live streaming. And to be honest, most of the people I know are so committed because it's something we love, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. It's something we love, and one way or the other we love to talk, just to talk, or to share what we think we know. It can be interesting, and that's why most of us do our best. And well, I have to do mea culpa. Often I've told not live, but I didn't like this show, and I know that people are saying that we don't like your show. But at the end, I think most people are just doing their best, and I think it's the only thing we can ask of live streamers. Even if they are beginners, of the most professional ones, you're just trying to do your best, and you're going to have from time to time some technical issues. Yeah, that's live streaming. Giles, we had yesterday a very brief discussion between live and doing non-linear editing, and Giles was telling the big advantage of live streaming. It's happening right now, and it's uploaded to YouTube, and well, let's say in 5 minutes I can go to bed. I don't have to do some post-processing. When you want to do everything very polished, it's cost you so much time. It's going to be a lot more polished, but the live thing and the interaction with the audience, I think it gives you that extra stress, but it gives you a lot more back. I think when in the end of let's say in 1 year, when you say was it now positive or negative, I think it's going to be always positive, because you got a lot more back positive things, and yeah, that's always going to be some negative things from time to time, and we just have to deal with it. And sometimes it's going to be easier, sometimes it's going to be difficult, but I just think that's what live streaming is all about. Yes, Martin is saying you just have to enjoy what you are doing, and I think this is maybe the most important message, and it's what I was more or less telling. The moment you're saying that if I'm not going to enjoy it anymore, then I'm going to tell you, okay, this is the end of the show. Thanks for being with me all these months, but I'm not enjoying it anymore, and I'm going to do something else. Okay, it seems that Friday is not a good day. It's sacred shopping in the morning, pub in the afternoon. I'm not agreeing with the shopping in the morning, Giles, but I do agree with pub in the afternoon and in the evening. So, well, maybe I can find another day. Oh, who knows? Maybe I'll stay on Tuesdays. Okay, just let me quickly go through, and thanks everyone who has been on the chat today, and that I don't forget. It would be nice, and that's maybe a nice project, that for some kind of reason I can bring in all the people who are in the chat via vMix Social, and then see who everyone that has been in the chat. So like what Tom is using another chat, is Chatwing, and often it's very difficult for Tom to thank everyone who has been in the chat because it's constantly changing, but that can be something interesting for using data sources again. So Giles, thank you very much for being here. Martin, thank you very much. Tommy, Merle, thank you very much. Elmar, thanks for being on the show today. Did I forget someone? No, I don't think so. Yes, there was someone in the beginning. Let me see here. Oh yes, Classic TV. Thank you for being on the show. I hope you still learned something. So for those who are going to watch in 1 hour exactly on Step in TV, maybe till then. Otherwise, see you next week on Walls or on my show. Thanks very much, guys, and see you next week. Bye-bye.